to answer that, I'm going to start at the beginning if you don't mind, because there's check marks along the way. So like to give the very broad example or broad spectrum of the phases, like the early phase is, um, I'll refrain from explaining it sometimes how I explain it, but it's the don't screw it up phase of recovery, right? Your body's healing, do what you can, don't screw it up. It's the gait training, learning how to walk again, getting your feet on the ground, getting comfortable. Then it's the compression load or building up a lot of those reps with your foot on the ground to get your body used to it. And then it's the strength and conditioning, right, phase, which is, the fun part, right? You're back building, rebuilding muscle, you're doing all those things. All the while leading up to that, you're doing everything you can to prevent the atrophy or the thigh muscle getting smaller. But inherently, it's going to get a bit smaller. Luckily, with the bear, it's not as prevalent or aware as with the reconstruction. So strength training, right? And then once you start to do strength training, then that's the higher level compression load, the running, the jumping, all those things. And with the jumping, the plyometrics is also building up the compression load, the number of reps, foot contacts, those kinds of things. So now let's, I guess, fast forward 9 months, you come in to see us and you're like, I want to go back, I want to do X, Y, or Z. All right, well, we know I touched on the clinical exam that usually is done after this, but from an orthopedic standpoint, they're going to look at, effusion, thigh circumference, Lockman. We're going to look at the MRI. All those things look good. From an ability standpoint, we're going to look at like long before this, you've already probably passed a step down test. You've already passed like a single limb strength test, squat or leg press, those kinds of things. But we're going to retest those anyway and retest that. The maximum involuntary contraction of how strong the quad can be or how active the quad can be compared to the other side. And then prior to this, you've already passed a Y balance test to know we can move on to this phase. So now you're going to do a single leg hop, a triple hop where you're jumping 3 times, a crossover, which is kind of like a zigzag. Depending on the sport or the athlete, you might do some sort of rotational stress. You might do some lateral stress or side-by-side stress in order to check all those boxes. And if you check all of those boxes and, it's got to be at least 95% compared to the non-surgical leg and compare the two, side by side. And then we can say, all right, we can safely let you go back to sport. And go back is an important caveat to say is like, it's not go out and play, a full game or jump right into a game situation. It's getting live practice, getting live action, those kind of things. The things we know that you need to build up if you didn't even have an injury, right? If you were doing preseason again, essentially, is what you got to go through to get everything reacclimated.